which honors Scouts who have excelled both in sports and their academics. My name is Mark Zimmerman, and I'm going to be your Master of Ceremonies of this year's event. It is my pleasure to first welcome you here this morning and to also introduce you to Philip Zurich of the Patriots Path Council Youth Executive Board, who will lead our opening ceremony.
Thank you, Mark. Color Guard, advance. Color Guard, salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Scout sign. Scout oath. On my honor, I'll do my best to do my duty to God, my country, and to obey Scout law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Scout law. Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, and reverent. 2, Color Guard dismissed.
And everyone can please be seated. I'd like to thank you, Philip, and our Color Guard. Scouting is a very well-known program with the support of many volunteers. This event had its volunteers as well, and it could not have been made possible without the help and support of the Scout Scholar Athlete Steering Committee. These individuals worked very hard to select today's honorees and to put together this event. Even so, an event like this could always use more volunteers. And so at your table, you will find our journal, in which you can find a page where you can recommend a person to join this committee next year. I would ask that you all please fill it out sometime today and leave it on your table when you leave. Now, I would like to introduce the Scout Executive of the Patriots Path Council, Mr. Dennis Cole, to say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. First, I'd like to say thank you for coming, and I want to tell you why we're doing this event, which should be obvious. But many times when I have a mom of a Cub Scout or a mom going into, and their son's getting ready for Boy Scouting, it's called, I can't take him here, and I can't take him there, and I can't take him there. We got to make some choices. I'm sure you've had that discussion. But the thing that they always say to me is, Dennis, they can't be an athlete and be a scout at the same time. And your evidence, all of you athletes, that you could be a good student, you can be an athlete, and you can be a scout. And many of you in this room are Eagle Scouts. So we're using this to launch an effort to get that message out to say, yes, you can excel in all 3 areas. So for the moms in the room, I need you to help spread that message to other moms that you know that have young scouts that they can do all 3, because your son is an example of that, and daughter. And also for our student athletes, you need to tell those younger guys too that they can be the same type of individual that you are. This event is being done by a young man named Bill Sanfilippo. Bill is an intern with me this year and hopes to go into a career in professional scouting. So he did this event from soup to nuts, and this is quite an achievement because some of my staff members know how much work it is to put something like this together. So Bill is 18 years of age and goes to Roxbury High School and is a senior. So Bill, where are you? He's out working. Here he is. And last but not least, my personal thanks to all the families and the sponsors and the mentors who helped to support this event, and congratulations to our athletes and our mentors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Now I'd like to introduce Eagle Scout Alex Livesey, who will give our invocation.
Please prepare yourselves for prayer. Giver of all things, as we gather for this banquet, we give thanks that we are again permitted to gather in fellowship. May our friendships be strengthened and our lives be broadened. We give thanks for this food. Please bless it and guide us so that we may help others to be the best that they can be. Amen.
Thank you, Alex. The Youth Executive Committee is a pilot program at the Patriots Path Council. Today, we have Jackie Bender to discuss this unique group of Scouts.
Good morning. In the summer of 2009, a group of young Scouts met for a meeting to discuss how youth could be more involved in council. We started a group with 15 Scouts and decided that we wanted to serve the youth of the council, trying to define the term youth run. We started with events such to help get older youth involved in scouting through leadership events such as ELE. From there, we grew. We are now in our third year. We have over 60 members, and we have four subcommittees. The purpose of the Youth Executive Committee is to help young adults become better leaders and to better help serve their unit. Sorry. Our next event is the Council Annual Blood Drive on Black Friday. Please refer to your journal for more information. Also, if you would like to nominate someone to be on our committee, there should be sheets in your journal to nominate them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. It's definitely an honor to be part of such a great committee. At this time, I would like to introduce another Youth Executive Committee member, Kathy Meyer, to speak about scouting and healthy living in it.
The Boy Scout oath is considered to have 3 different parts to it: duty to God, duty to others, and duty to self. A Scout's duty to him or herself is to stay physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. For a Scout to do their duty to others, he must take care of himself as well. Eating healthy and exercising are 2 ways to do so. Exercise has been proven to boost brain power, give energy, and reduce stress. These are 3 things that a Scout will need to balance their school activities, Scout activities, and sports, as well as anything else that they may undertake. Scouting teaches the need for exercise from the very start through outdoor activities such as backpacking, climbing, and polar bear swims. The Boy Scouts of America have taken it 1 step forward. We have created the Scout Strong Initiative. This program allows Scouts to earn the President's Physical Fitness Award. Not only can Scouts participate, but volunteers, parents, and employees. The honorees that are here today have shown their capacity to embrace the Scout oath through the different sports they take part in. Each Scout here today takes back that sense of dedication to their home unit and furthers the journey to excellence.
Thank you, Kathy. Bruce Linger, a member of the Patriots Path Council Executive Board, would like to share some of his remarks about the success of scouting in our council.
On behalf of Patriots Path Council, I'd like to congratulate our youth and in the room and your support of scouting by attending this event this morning. I'd like to tell you about Boy Scouts in America and they share with few programs with all of you can help learn and develop. I'm happy to announce that scouting is alive and well. We are the largest private youth services agency in the United States, and our council is one of the largest councils in New Jersey, serving over 19,000 youth in northern New Jersey. The Scouting Advancement Program encourages boys and girls to explore hobbies, careers, and interests and service to others. This leads to the highest rank in scouting, Eagle Scout. This past year, 312 young men earned the rank of Eagle Scout in our council. I'm proud to say I'm an Eagle Scout. Would all the Eagle Scouts in this room please rise? Now, Will the parents of these Eagle Scouts join them? Thank you. Anyone who's gone through the journey of Eagle Scout knows that it takes an involvement of not only the scout but the family. The camping programs continue to serve over 19,000 families, offering scouts the opportunity to participate in physically and intellectually challenging activities. Scouting is a positive force in our communities with National Scouting for Food, Good Turn for America program, and Meet the Needs of the Hungry every day. Last year, Scouts collected over 25,000 pounds of food items, and for over a decade, the Boy Scouts have delivered an award-winning child abuse program with thousands of youth throughout the northern Jersey and central Jersey. The Scouts are dedicated to serving our youth in our area, and their programs for urban and continue to grow. Scouting in our inner cities allow young youth to experience scouting through after-school programs, summer camps, and field trips. I also want to point out that the Scouts being honored today, you set an example for this organization. You have proven that everyone can be a star athlete and be successful in school and remain active in scouting. As you can see, scouting covers a wide range of opportunities and adventures for youth of all ages and backgrounds. On a personal note, all you athletes out here, I'm the father of 2 Eagle Scouts. When my middle son joined scouting, in his cub pack, or his Weeblo's den, there were 7 young men. Of the 7 young men, my son was probably the only one that stayed in scouting. The rest were going to go only into sports in high school. How many of you know other friends in school that have done the same thing? Where they're going to make that choice of, I can't do it all. And all these kids that thought they could just be in sports and not be in scouting, sports, and other things went on to high school. Of the senior team, none of them made the varsity. Of the senior team, my son was the only one who did make the varsity and was an Eagle Scout and went on to college. So anybody who can tell you you can't do it all, you can. But think back in your own careers as you're now in school of how many kids have dropped out of scouting because they couldn't do it all. You have set the example of it can be. Thank you.
Keynote speaker, and it's definitely an honor to have Justin Sheed with us here as the keynote speaker. After graduating from Pope John High School in 2004, Justin received a track scholarship to compete for Georgetown University while also pursuing a double major in finance and accounting. Now, while he's participated in many different running races, his biggest accomplishments involve winning the Central Park Half Marathon and finishing in 81st place in the New York City Marathon, which qualified him to compete in the Boston Marathon in April. Justin works for the Price Waterhouse Corporation in Florham Park and is currently working toward his master's at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I would like you to please all join me in welcoming Justin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Scheid, and I'm just going to say a few words about striving for success. First of all, before I start, I would like to thank all of the student athletes and scouts here for being nominated for these awards today. It's quite an honor. The starting point, I believe, for any discussion around success is trying to define what success is. When looking it up in the dictionary, one ambiguous definition is a person or thing that is successful. So while this may or may not be helpful, thankfully there's other definitions, one of which is the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. And I believe that is a definition that has led you all here today. Each of us has heroes or people we look up to or admire. One reason we admire others is because they become personal symbols of success. Whether an individual we admire is a world record holder, a Nobel Prize winner, a relative, or a next-door neighbor, this individual comes to represent our own internal definition of success. Personal success, then, is unique for each of us and refers to the accomplishment of one of our own aims or goals. Oftentimes, success appears rather suddenly when you observe others and their accomplishments, you generally don't appreciate the sacrifices and hard work it has taken them to get where they are. For example, I came to admire someone I met at a summer running camp while I was in high school. A runner by the name of Adrian Blinko, who was at the time running for the University of Villanova, was my camp counselor and leader of the training group. As hard as it was to admit at the time that I admired an athlete from which later became a rival Big East school, watching Adrian run intervals was inspiring. The way he could glide around the track, it appeared as if he wasn't pushing himself at all, but rather just doing something he enjoyed. I think when I looked back on that a couple years later, I had read so many books about great athletes, runners, football players, baseball players, but I think when you actually see somebody participate in the sport that you want to participate in, it means a lot more at that point. So as a camper, I was in awe of Adrian's talent, and his work ethic became something I tried to imitate every day at practice. At the time, I had no idea how hard Adrian was working or what it took him to get to that point, going to college all the way across the world after growing up in New Zealand. But in 2008, Adrian went on to set the New Zealand record in the 5K with a time of 13 minutes and 10 seconds. Later, in 2008, he represented New Zealand at the Beijing Olympic Games in the 5,000 meters. To me, Adrian became my personal success for what it would take to be successful on the track. I set several goals for myself before the start of the track season. I even met with my coach and talked about it with my teammates. But there was times when I thought that I wasn't going to be able to achieve what I had inspired to achieve. And I set stepping stones for the lofty goals that I had. And if I didn't achieve them, I was disappointed in times, but it just went back to setting those goals again for the next year or the upcoming year thereafter. Setting personal goals gave me something to keep in mind during practice. While I was always excited for races and competitions, it was just the daily recovery runs or general practices that was the most challenging to just kind of stay hungry and wanting to compete. I recall going to see my coach before the track season of my junior year, and I told him that I wanted to run under 9 minutes for 2 miles. He said it was possible, but he thought that it was more something that I was going to achieve a year later. So we adjusted the time a little bit, but the goal was still in the back of my mind as something I wanted to achieve long term. And when practices came, I always had that in my head, the picture of Adrian running these mile repeats on the track as I was working out. So for all of our runs where the coach would tell you, I want you to practice for 45 to 60 minutes, I was practicing for 60 minutes. There were times when I was sick or something, but for the most part, I always tried to stay towards the upper end of whatever the practice time was. And sure enough, time started coming there. I began lowering down at different races, went from 9:27 to 9:17. And the biggest race that I had at the time was the Meet of Champions, for anybody in here who's a runner, which is the biggest meet for New Jersey State. And I was running in the 3,200, and I was in the middle of the pack. Didn't really look at the clock. There was a clock there. I was no idea what time we were running. I was just following the bodies in front of me. And come to the bell lap, and I take the lead. I just start flying down the back straightaway with everything I got. Just hit 200 meters to go. I start tightening up a little bit. A runner from Toms River North by the name of Pete Hess comes up to my shoulder. We hit the final straightaway, neck and neck, and end up running all the way down the track together to the finish. Right in the last 20 meters, he gains a step or two on me, and he won the Meet of Champions. I think we ran 9 minutes and 10 seconds, which to that time was the fastest I had ever run. And I was discouraged more that for some reason I felt like I didn't compete hard enough, even though I felt like I did. I was disappointed. I was ecstatic with the time, but I was disappointed with how I finished. But I think when it comes down to it, when I was looking back after the season, that giving everything your best shot is all you can ask for yourself. If you go out, you compete, you put yourself where you want to be, and you just see what happens. And on that day, I was second best. But that doesn't mean at another point that if situation repeats itself, maybe it's that close, maybe it goes the other way. But 2 weeks later, both Pete and I went down to compete in what was then known as the Adidas Outdoor Championship in the 2 mile, and this would be the last track race of the season. So most of the training in between then was just recovery run, just trying to stay fit, just trying to recover from the last week's effort. And I go down and I see all these runners from across the country that I have heard of through looking at race results and coming into contact with at camps or regional track meets. And I was nervous. I got to the starting line and I was looking around me and saying, wow, some of these guys I know I'm going to be college teammates with, other of these I will be competing against for a long time. And as the race went off, I was just running really evenly, just staying, minding my own business and tucked in. And people start falling off as the race progresses. Get to halfway through and I start moving up to the front pack. Race continues about laps 6 and 7. I find myself in 5th place. I start trying to pick it up. I'm getting more intense. I can see my coach on the sideline. I can see my teammates just yelling and screaming. I had no idea what was going on. I hit the bell lap, and I'm in 3rd place at this point, and I didn't catch the top 2 runners. But as I'm coming up to the final 50 meters, I look at the time, and I crossed the finish line in 8 minutes and 58 seconds for 2 miles, which at the time was the New Jersey State Junior record. Was since broken by someone, I believe, a year or 2 ago. But I was more ecstatic at that point because I had accomplished what I wanted to. I set that goal for myself to try to run 9 minutes, and I just had a great day. Everything went right, the competition, the weather. There was nothing that didn't go right on that day. And I was phenomenal. I was super impressed. After that race, this was a turning point for me because it opened the door to opportunities I might not have otherwise had access to. Running that time made me feel like the entire year was a success, but I had not accomplished the goal. I do not believe the season would have been an entire disappointment just because of the amount of work it takes to be a student athlete. There's a quote that reads, "If you shoot for the stars and hit the moon, it is okay, but you've got to shoot for something because a lot of people do not." Striving to be successful at something is very challenging. People may not believe you can accomplish what you want, and some may actually tell you that it is impossible. I believe that if you want to take your best shot to succeed, then you must set a long-term goal, but as well as set short-term, more stepping stone-like goals to get where you want to be. You have all shown that you are successful student athletes by being selected to be here this morning. I believe this is quite an accomplishment if you pause and think about all the activities that you do, the sacrifices you've made to be here, because if someone was to just see you every day or see you participate in your sport and say, wow, that person is amazing, or I want to be just like that person if it's an underclassman on the same sport as you. And you kind of have to carry yourself each day as if you are a role model because someone is always looking up to you whether you know it or you don't. And to be here today, I think this is a lot of individual success for you as student athletes, but it's also a lot of success of your parents. When I grew up, my parents came to every event my brother and I were competing in. They were at every school function, and now actually being out working, I hope that I'm able to do the same thing for my kids someday. But it's a true blessing when you're able to compete, but also as you're finishing any activity to see your mother and father, your parents, friends out there on the sidelines supporting you. And for them to drive my brother and I to all the practices, all the band practices, all the running events, soccer events, baseball events, it was just as much thankful for what they did for me. So I think having the opportunity to be here today is also thank your parents and loved ones who have made it all possible as well. Lastly, for many of you, the high school sports in which you have excelled may or may not be the first sport you have chosen. It wasn't for me, but that desire to not quit, to not throw in the towel is something that can take an athlete very far. And a pretty famous New Jersey-born singer said that success is falling 9 times but getting up 10. And in every sport, in every aspect of life, you're going to face challenges. But I believe with the activities that you've learned through the Cub Scouts, through track, lessons that you can't learn in the classroom, as well as what you have learned in the classroom, will help you prepare for going forward and meeting these challenges. Success is not something that can only be experienced once. You have all experienced success at the scout level and as a student athlete, but you will continue to have opportunities for personal success in the future. These opportunities may or may not always be athletically related, but if you pursue them with the same enthusiasm and ambition, you will find the success you seek. Again, I just want to say thank you and congratulate all of the student athletes today.
Inspiring words. And now it's finally time for the moment that we've all been waiting for, and that is the presentation of the 2011 Scout Scholar Athlete Awards. Now, due to some time restraints, we can't read everyone's full biography that you wrote down, but we will say a few words about the speaker and the person who they chose as their special person. Now, for a full biography, and you can follow along as we go through each nominee, you can see in your journal. And right now, for the presentation, I would like to ask Dennis Cole to please come up and help present the awards. Now, our first honoree is Celeste Post, who received her Venturing Gold Award with Crew 77 in Madison. She plays field hockey at Madison High, and her special person is her Mrs. Marianne Post. Her mother taught her what it means to fight for something. So, as our first nominee, I would like to invite Celeste and Mrs. Post to please come up to the stage. Our next honoree is Taylor Anderson from Crew 27 in Westfield. She received the Gold Award in Venturing, as well as she served as the Venturing Northeast Region Vice President. She currently is a freshman at Hobart and William Smith College. Her special person is her friend, Mr. Charles Thorpe. He is a dedicated scouter and backpacker who inspires Taylor. Unfortunately, Taylor could not be here with us today and will receive her award in the future. Our next honoree is Peter Basso, who is an Eagle Scout from Troop 8 in Chatham. He is attending Coastal Carolina University, where he continues to play his sport of golf. His special person is his father, Mr. Peter Basso. His father taught him how to play and continues to help him improve. Now, Peter is always playing golf, and so he could also not be here with us today. Michael Boardman from Crew 77 in Madison also received his Quest Medals and his Venturing Gold Award. He is a freshman at Delaware Valley College, where he is studying sports management. Coach Steve Hughes continues to work with Michael to strive for success. Michael could also not be here with us today. Our next honoree is Connor Brady. He attends West Morris Mendham Regional High School and is an Eagle Scout from Troop 150 in Bernardsville. When he's not playing football or lacrosse, Connor is spending time with Mr. Leo Byler. He is a veteran and strives to help Connor to do his best. Mr. Byler could not be here today, but we'd like to present Connor with his award, and we would ask that he accept the certificate on behalf of Leo. Michael Compatilo, a member of Troop 151 and a student at Jefferson Township High School, is a Life Scout. Michael continues to excel in soccer, and he has chosen his special person, who is his grandfather, Mr. Paul Milicharek, for he's always there to help cheer him on. I would ask that Michael and Paul please come up to the stage. Brett Conrads is a Life Scout with Troop 81 in Andover. He attends Newton High School, where he plays varsity soccer, ice hockey, and lacrosse. Brett has two important people that he would like to honor: his brothers Tyler and Edward. Brett's brothers are always helping him to strive to be his best and to do the right thing. So we would like to ask Brett, Tyler, and Edward to please come forward. Our next honoree, Nicholas DeFuria, plays varsity football, runs varsity indoor track, and plays varsity lacrosse at Roxbury High School. He's a Life Scout in Troop 54 and plans to join the Coast Guard. His grandfather, Mr. Al DeFuria, is his inspiration. He was Nick's best friend. Unfortunately, Al is no longer with us, so Nick's father will accept the award on Al's behalf. Nick, will you please come to the stage with your father to accept your award? Matthew J. Donnelly is an athlete at St. Joseph's School. He is a member of Troop 109 in Randolph and has a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo. His grandfather, Mr. Alfred D. Alessandro, serves as a model to him, and that is why he was chosen as Matthew's special person. I would ask that Matthew and Al please come up to the stage. Michael Donnelly is also a member of Troop 109 in Randolph. He is a student at Del Barton High School. Michael spends a lot of his time volunteering and playing sports. His 7th grade English teacher, Mr. Michael Carr, is his special person. We would like to ask Michael and Mr. Carr to please come up to the stage. Our next honoree, Jimmy Foy, is an Eagle Scout from Troop 8 in Chatham. He's on the varsity swim team and is very active with his troop. His coach, Mr. Dave Steele, has been a big influence on Jimmy. Mr. Steele unfortunately could not be here with us today, so Jimmy, we would ask that you please accept his certificate on his behalf. Mr. John Friedlander is a Life Scout with Troop 368 in Berkeley Heights. He attends Governor Livingston High School, where he plays soccer, winter and spring track, and also cross country. His special person, Colonel John Friedlander, provides John with the motivation that he needs to succeed. We'd like to ask John and Colonel Friedlander to please come up to the stage. Brett Harvey is a Life Scout with Troop 34 in Morristown. He plays golf and tennis at Morristown High School, and he is very involved with community service. His passion and drive for community service comes from his 8th grade English teacher, Mr. Matt Daly. Will Brett and Mr. Daly please come up to the stage? Our next honoree, Timothy Hedinger, is a student at Blair Academy, where he plays varsity baseball. He also does varsity skiing and swimming. He's an Eagle Scout from Troop 1 in Mendham, and his special person is his mother, Mrs. Diane Hedinger, who pushes him to always do his best. We'd like to ask Timothy and Diane to please come up to the stage. Robert Inicoti is an Eagle Scout from Troop 34 in Morristown. He plays varsity football and runs indoor and spring track for Del Barton High School. His coach, Mr. Brian Bowers, is always working for the best interests of the team. In the last 3 years Robert is known as coach, they have had successful seasons. We would like Robert and Mr. Bowers to please come up to the stage. The next two honorees are unique. They are brothers and chose the same two people to honor. Charles Kepler runs varsity cross country and indoor track and field at Sussex County Votech School. He's a Life Scout with Troop 83 in Newton. Noah Kepler is a Star Scout with Troop 83. He also runs cross country and does indoor track and field. They are both honoring Bruce and Ginny Wask. They are their coaches and have a true passion for helping others. Unfortunately, Ginny could not be here today, but we would still like to ask Charlie and Noah to please come to the stage with Bruce. Our next honoree, Michael Krasinski, plays varsity lacrosse and skis for Jefferson Township. He is an Eagle Scout with Troop 49 and hopes to attend college and become a police officer. His mom, Mrs. Kathy Krasinski, has always been there to help him and therefore is his special person. Will Michael and Mrs. Krasinski please come up to the stage? Christopher Mazie is a Life Scout with Troop Christopher Mazzy is a Life Scout with Troop 236 in Long Valley. He plays varsity football and baseball at West Morris Regional High School. His father, Mr. Mazzy, is his special person because he continues to serve as his main support. We'd like to ask Christopher and Mr. Mazzy to please come up to the stage. Our next honoree, Sean McHugh, is a Life Scout from Troop 8 in Chatham. He is a varsity soccer player, varsity swimmer, and plays varsity lacrosse at Chatham High School. His father, Mr. Marty McHugh, serves as a family man, coach, comedian, and motivator to Sean. Sean cannot be here today because he is playing a game in the Morris County Boys Soccer Finals. Good luck to him. Our next honoree, Michael Quartucci, attends Sussex Votech School, where he runs cross country and track. He is a Life Scout from Troop 81. His inspiration comes from his grandfather, Mr. Dennis Quartucci, who has always supported him. We'd like to ask Michael and Mr. Quartucci to please come up to the stage. Our next honoree, Jason Rudich, is an active runner at Hillsborough High School, where he runs cross country, winter, and spring track. He's an Eagle Scout with 6 palms from Troop 186. His special person is his father, Mr. Howard Rudick, who helped him through scouting. Will Jason and Mr. Rudick please come up to the stage? Dennis Rupp is a Life Scout with Troop 81 in Newton. He is a varsity bowler and plays lacrosse for Sussex County Votech High School. His coach, Mr. Gassioric, teaches Dennis how to reach his full potential. Will Dennis and Mr. Gassioric please come up to the stage? Our next honoree, Robert Scheiderman, is a Life Scout with Troop 129 in Greenbrook. He plays cross country and winter and spring track at Watchung Hills High School. His father, Mr. Ward Scheiderman, is his special person because he helped to contribute in his scouting career. We would like to ask Robert and Mr. Scheiderman to please come up to the stage. The next honoree, David Swarzinski, is a Life Scout with Troop 151. He plays varsity soccer, basketball, and varsity volleyball at Jefferson Township High School. His special person and father, Mr. Thomas Swarzinski, was always there to support, teach, guide, and love him. Will David and Mr. Swarzinski please come up to the stage? Thank you. I would like to announce that David actually just became an Eagle Scout on Thursday. Kurt Welsh is an Eagle Scout from Troop 177 in Parsippany. He plays varsity football, basketball, and runs varsity track. Both of his parents have been chosen as his special people. His dad, Mr. Keith Welsh, is an Eagle Scout, and his mother, Mrs. Welsh, is the cheerleader of the family. Will Kurt please come to the stage with his parents? Our next honoree, Eric Wang, is a varsity fencer at Governor Livingston High School. He is an Eagle Scout with a bronze palm in Troop 368. Mr. William Schultz, Eric's Eagle mentor, is also his special person. Mr. Schultz is a very active scouter and volunteer. So we would like to ask Eric and Mr. Schultz to please come up to the stage. Our next honoree, Jeff White, is a first-class scout from Troop 368. He plays soccer, lacrosse, basketball, and swims at St. Peter's Prep. Jeff would like to honor both his brothers, Chris and Eric, today. They have taught him so much that will help him succeed in life. So we'd like to ask Jeff and his brothers to please come up to the stage. I would like you to all join me once again in a great big round of applause for all of our honorees.